On 25 October 1415, near Agincourt in northern France, a weary English army faced a far larger French force. The battle still matters because it changed the war, the legend, and the meaning of battlefield power. Agincourt was not a single clash in isolation. It grew out of a long struggle over the French crown, English claims, and the fragile politics of a divided France. England's king had crossed the Channel seeking leverage, ransom, and legitimacy. France, weakened by internal rivalries and uncertainty, had to answer a challenge it could not ignore. The English campaign had already tested men, horses, and supplies through siege and march. By the time the army turned inland, hunger, fatigue, and weather had become enemies of their own. The English king carried the burden of command, with a young court and a hard campaign behind him. On the French side, nobles and captains arrived with pride, expectation, and the pressure to win decisively. Both armies depended on more than courage. Food, horses, armor, arrows, and road access shaped what each side could do long before the first charge began. The English force was smaller, but many of its men were experienced archers and men-at-arms. The French army was larger, with powerful nobles, mounted warriors, and a confidence built on numbers. Morale mattered as much as equipment. The English had marched hard and expected a desperate fight, while the French believed a direct assault could crush a trapped opponent. The route to Agincourt forced the English through a narrow, difficult landscape. Rain had turned tracks into mud, and the army arrived with little room to maneuver. The battlefield itself was a narrow corridor between woods with ploughed earth underfoot. That constriction would matter more than anyone watching could fully know. Autumn rain had softened the ground, and the mud would slow every advance. In medieval combat, terrain could decide whether armor protected a man or trapped him. The French plan favored force and pressure. The English plan relied on patience, a defensive line, and the deadly reach of missile weapons in a constricted space. The opening phase was marked by waiting, signaling, and uneasy movement. Neither side wanted to waste advantage, but both knew the first mistake could be fatal. English archers took positions and prepared their bows. Their role was not just to strike, but to shape the ground and force the enemy into a difficult advance. The French advance had to cross soft earth under pressure from the front and from the sides of the narrow field. That combination made orderly movement far harder than the numbers suggested. As the first missiles fell, the battle began to compress. Men had to keep formation, but the ground, the weather, and the crowding made that increasingly difficult. The pressure point came when the French center pushed into the narrowest part of the field. There, momentum slowed, and the weight of armor became a burden as much as protection. What had been meant as a decisive assault turned into a struggle for space. Each side tried to preserve order, but the field allowed only limited movement. The English line held, while archers and men-at-arms worked in close coordination. Their advantage came from discipline, terrain, and the ability to keep the French under constant strain. The French attack lost clarity as more men pressed forward. In a field this tight, even brave troops could become entangled with their own momentum. The decisive movement was not a single heroic blow, but the steady collapse of French order. Once the front ranks faltered, the weight behind them made recovery harder. English archers then shifted from waiting to pressure, exploiting gaps and confusion. Their role was tactical, not magical. They helped turn disorder into a broader rout. As the French center gave way, the battle became a struggle for survival and escape. The field, once a narrow approach, now trapped the movement of men and horses alike. The English victory was not effortless. Their army remained exhausted, exposed, and far from secure, even as the French assault broke apart before them. When the fighting ended, the battlefield was crowded with prisoners, damaged armor, and broken formations. The scale of French losses shocked contemporaries and reshaped the campaign. The immediate aftermath also revealed the harsh logic of medieval war. Commanders had to secure captives, tend the wounded, and decide what could be carried forward. For England, Agincourt became proof that a smaller army could defeat a larger one under the right conditions. That lesson echoed through later campaigns and military memory. For France, the defeat deepened existing strains among nobles, commanders, and regional interests. The battle did not end the war, but it altered its balance and its psychology. In the years that followed, Agincourt fed English claims and French anxieties alike. It became a symbol used by chroniclers, rulers, and later generations seeking meaning in victory. Yet historians still qualify the story. Numbers are debated, sources disagree, and the battle's outcome depended on more than arrows alone. The terrain, weather, command decisions, and fatigue all mattered together. Agincourt is best understood not as a miracle, but as a convergence of hard circumstances and disciplined execution. The battle also reminds us how fragile plans become once armies meet the ground. Great expectations could be undone by rain, congestion, and the limits of human control. Today, Agincourt is remembered through landscape as much as through legend. The field is quieter now, but its shape still helps explain why the battle unfolded as it did. Visitors encounter a place of memory rather than spectacle. The modern countryside offers distance, and that distance invites a more careful understanding of the past. Agincourt endures because it combines strategy, hardship, and uncertainty in a single day. It remains a case study in how armies are shaped by more than courage alone. The battle's legacy is not only in who won, but in how the story has been told. Each retelling has had to balance drama with caution and certainty with evidence.